Spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. That was just beautiful. Thank you. So beginning our business meeting, we have item 4A, approval of minutes in the agenda for the regular commission meeting of July 5th, 2022 as presented. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved by Commissioner Ramos, seconded by Commissioner McCool. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passes unanimously. Presentations, awards, and reports. We have none this evening. Then we'll begin with our ordinances and public hearings. Ordinance 6A, public hearing, resolution number 2022-21, establishing the proposed millage rate for the levy of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2022-2023. Commissioners, this is for the trim notice. This will be the highest that the commission can rate the millage. It cannot go any higher. We will have hearings coming up for budget and final millage rate, but this is a topper, no higher than this for what we set for the trim notice. Commissioner Bradford.
I would like to know what changed from what we viewed last, because I didn't see anything. So I don't know if it was supposed to be attached, but I didn't get anything.
Changed in what way?
We went over the budget before we set the millage, and it was actually, I think, a little bit higher. So did you change anything since we had the workshop? What was changed? I mean, we're approving the millage, I understand that, but did you have to take stuff out? What did you have to change to hit that millage rate is what I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am. During the workshops, you all had a number of revisions that you all wanted to make. We're in the process of doing that. The purpose of this is to set a maximum millage rate based on our review. You will be having another workshop in August to go over the changes and have any additional changes you may want to make prior to the 2 required hearings in September. So the changes that we are working on will be brought to the commission during August, during a workshop, or a second workshop if you all so desire, as part of the overall review. The purpose of this is so that the trim notice can be sent out to the residents, letting them know that this is the maximum rate that the millage can be set at, but it is subject to change if we go further through the budget review process.
Thank you.
Let's see, Commissioner Sosa.
So what we're looking at is a 10% increase in ad valorem taxes over last fiscal year.
No, sir. What we're looking at is the millage, the rollback rate is 6.8141. What we're recommending is 110% of the rollback rate, which is the 7.4955. So it is 10% higher than the rollback, not what was last year. Last year, I think we were 7.85. So the millage rate is actually
last year, yes.
quite a bit less than it was last year.
Okay, right, but we're just looking at mills, but your taxable values went up, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we're looking at an increase over last year.
Depends on, by statutory definition, it is a increase.
Okay. And also, is this maximum that you're setting based on the fire assessment fee that we're looking to do? And also, is it based on the rental ordinance you're looking to bring forward?
No, sir. In the proposed budget for next year does not include the fire fee or the rental ordinance. in the review, we did a 5-year review. I believe it was in the 3rd year that we were anticipating the rental ordinance, and it was in the 2nd year that we were anticipating the fire fee. But for the purposes of this millage rate, neither one of them is included in the budget.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? If not, we'll open the public hearing. Do we have any comments, public comments on this item, Liz?
Mayor.
Then we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing. So, Commissioners, we need a motion on this.
I'll make a motion.
Yes, ma'am. Bring it up.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-21, adopting the proposed millage rate of 7.4955 for the levy of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2022/2023. The acting city manager has the authority to make the corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Okay, we have a motion for 7.4955. Is there a second? I will second that. Did you second that, Commissioner McCool? Yeah. Okay. This is a resolution, so we do not need to have an ordinance read. So, Joyce, would you read the motion one more time, please, and then we'll vote?
The motion reads, I move to approve resolution number 2022-21, adopting the proposed millage rate of 7.4955 for the levy of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2022/2023. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Thank you, ma'am. May we vote, please? Screen doesn't work.
It was 4-2, Commissioner Bradford and Commissioner Sosa against.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next item. The next item is a public hearing, ordinance number 14-2020.
Madam Mayor, 1 second.
Yes.
Can we set a mill, 110% by supermajority?
Is that not the cap? Oh, that's not the actual millage rate. That's the limit. They'll set the millage rate, actual millage rate in September, won't they?
Okay. Fine.
I think so.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I was just conferring with the city attorney. I just wanted to get some clarification because for us to set a millage rate above the rollback requires a supermajority. However, this is just setting the maximum rate. It is not setting the rate. So I wanted to confirm because a 4-2 vote was not a supermajority.
Exactly.
And but for the purposes of setting the maximum millage rate, according to the city attorney, does not require that supermajority.
Okay, because it can still go down for when we set it formally.
In
Okay.
September.
Correct, Skip?
In September, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. All right, we'll move on to item B, public hearing, ordinance number 14-2022, pursuant to sections 101.161 and 166.031 Florida statutes, proposed charter amendments to be submitted as a referendum to the general election. We have Commissioner McCool.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have brought this up and want to clarify after we vote on this, just so you know, so that we won't move through, want to clarify the part of having a requirement for charter officers, residency requirement. So I would like some clarification after we vote on this. So,
Okay. Ms. Kifalo?
Yes, ma'am.
This is what we have talked about before, correct, ma'am?
Yes, this is actually the second reading of the ordinance that would actually get items on the November 8th ballot. So at this point, what is being presented is no additions, no modifications, and the ordinance before the commission only contains provisions proposed to be repealed because they are superseded by state law or they have become obsolete.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions? If not, I don't see any. Well, is there anyone that signed up for public comment on this item, Liz?
Mayor.
Then we'll close the public comment portion of this item. We need a motion and a second. Seeing no motion or no second, the item dies. We'll move on to the next item. Next item, C, public hearing, resolution number 2022-20, acceptance of the I-4 logistics plat. No, we're done. Do we want to go back to this item? Because this is second reading and nothing has changed on this. If nobody wants to make a motion, the item dies and we are not going to further this. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Bradford.
I move to approve ordinance number 14-2022 its second and final reading. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener errors and the like.
I will second that. Properly moved by Commissioner Bradford, seconded by Mayor Hertzberg. Skip, would you read the ordinance, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ordinance 14-2022, an ordinance of the City of Deltona, Florida, adopted pursuant to Sections 101.161 and Section 166.031 Florida statutes, setting forth proposed amendments to the city charter to be submitted to the voters at a referendum at the general election on November the 8th, 2022, providing for ballot summary entitled to repeal charter provisions which have been superseded by state law or have become obsolete by other conditions, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bradford, are you still on the board?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention we are going to be educating the residents on these items and posting and putting information out there before this goes out, correct? Because they're not going to understand that a lot of these things that we're actually removing because they are superseded. Like you did an amazing chart that had stated like this was superseded by this statute. So I would just love to see us make sure that we get that out to the residents and that they're educated.
Yes, we're actually already in the process of taking a look at what that will look like. That will include part of the document that was provided to you this evening, had the items that were lined off to be removed, and then next to it had the statute that was referencing. We will have a document available online where you will be able to actually just click on that reference also, so it'll take you directly to the state statute if you want to really dig deep into the process.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. On this item before we vote?
On this,
Because we're voting on what
Okay.
we're going to put on.
After we vote, yes,
after.
ma'am.
Please reread the motion, and then you'll be up, Commissioner McCool.
thank you, Madam Mayor.
The motion reads, I move to approve ordinance number 14-2022 at second and final reading. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Thank you, ma'am. May we vote, please? Motion passes 5-1 with Commissioner Sosa dissenting. Okay, Commissioner McCool, you are up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to revisit, and because it is a big elephant in the room, and would like closure on this. So I would like to ask our city manager, what is it that we do that we give the residents the ability to be able to vote on what they believe, like the radius that a city manager, right, and our attorney, charter officers, so I'm laying that out. When I say both, our charter officers' residency requirements, because right now we have special circumstances. As we move forward, we're changing the charter, and I want to make sure that it is clear to our residents what their options are. So could you please read us how we get there from here?
Commissioner McCool, there's several routes. If you want to have a charter officer have the ability not to live in the city, you can either put language in that I've seen in other communities where the language says that it's up to the commission to allow somebody to live outside the city, and that way it's covered. A more defined way would be to set a distance, such as, 25 miles from the city or 50 miles from the city. You have a defined distance that they would have to live within. So those are the two options that are most readily available. And so the other thing was a timing question. I was a little bit concerned as to whether there was even time to get this before the supervisor election before August 23rd. I met with the city clerk earlier today, and we can make the August 23rd deadline. It would require a first reading on August the 8th, which would mean that what would normally be a workshop would be a special meeting / workshop. That way you're allowed to take a vote. The second reading would be on August the 15th, a week later. This would require, let me get the right glasses on here. This would require that the ad be prepared by the 21st of July. We would advertise both the first and second reading in that ad, and it would publish on July 28th. As I said before, the deadline for the question to be to the supervisor election by August 23rd of this year. It also does require that we have the item translated, and we would need to have this to the translator by August 9th in order to get it back in time for the August 23rd deadline. So all this is doable. What you all would need to do is tell us if that's by consensus, if that's the direction you want to go. Give us by consensus how you want to generally word it, and we will proceed with coming up with the final language with the city attorneys and advertising and plan for a special meeting on August the 8th.
And I bring this up for the public, and the question has been asked. And the reason I'm so adamant on this is, Mr. Peters, could you answer two questions for me? Are we a charter city?
Pardon me?
Are we a charter city?
We are a charter city, yes.
Do we have right now at this time charter officers?
In the charter, you have a definition of charter officer, but technically, neither the city attorney or I are true charter officer by definition.
That is my point. That is my point, and I just would really like for our residents, we are reimagining our city. We're moving forward. We are really trying to be very super clear as far as transparency goes. And the reason that we went through this exercise with our charter is so that we have more clearly defined charter. And within that, it's important that the charter officers, right, that question needs to be answered. There's too much ambiguity with that. And so that's why I've been asked time and time again, what about that? That's not addressed. And so how do we address that? You have said how we address that. And so I would like to ask for consensus or guidance here, Madam Mayor or City Manager, asking for consensus if we proceed with that to clear up that definition and let the residents decide how they would like to see their future city managers, what that residency requirement would be. So may I ask for consensus?
You may ask for that, and Commissioner Bradford is on the board, and she would like to speak. Commissioner?
The Charter Review Committee gave us a list. We went through that list as a commission, as a whole commission. One of the items on the list was to amend the way our charter officers were. And we declined that up here. We've already went through that. And we did that because if you went back into the last few times this has been brought up, that declined and was refuted by 70% of the residents said, no, I want my charter officers to live in the city. The only reason, and this is what I was told when Skip Fowler's firm came in, was his is different because his is a firm, and that is why. But as a commission, our Charter Review Committee brought this up to us months ago. We went through every one of those, and this was one of them, and we already said no. Now, you want to bring up questions I'm getting. I'm getting, why haven't you done a search? Where is your search? Why haven't you stopped? And now why are you guys trying to change this just so you can make it so a person can stay in here? So you want to talk all transparency. That's what people want to know. They want to know, why are we trying to amend the charter just to allow individuals who aren't charter officers to be here sitting in those seats?
And to that, I would
That's
say,
the elephant I get knocked on all the time is, what are you doing? So you don't want to do your search and you don't want to do this, so you're just going to amend it and try to amend it?
and Commissioner Bradford, I understand your concern, and really, it could go either way. When that's brought up before, I don't know in the history of Deltona if we have been or are ever going to be satisfied with a city manager, and we have done what we could to clear up the charter. I understand the recommendations from the charter committee, and I understand all of our concerns about that. So I'm just bringing it forward, much like you are. You know, it's up to the commission, because I have brought forth my constituency concerns, right? And either way, it's really a fail either way. So I'm just trying to be transparent about it, because this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, and I think that we all understand that. So I'm just bringing it forth to put it out in the open. It's the commission's choice. It's the residents' choice. That's my bosses out there.
And I'm not saying that because I don't like either one of them. I'm saying that because we're given a charter and we're supposed to be following the charter. And even when I said, hey, I mean, we do a search and we like this guy, then great. That's who we chose. But I found it like a stab in the back to us and the residents when I was told the laughing joke is, hey, we started the process and that's all the charter says. That makes, I know, we can't, what if our staff says, oh, well, I started the process, that's what you told me to do, right? I mean, we're supposed to be setting examples here. So I understand what you're saying, and what I'm saying isn't anything against any of those two people sitting there. I'm just telling you what I hear is, oh, you just want to change it. What I don't want to have happen is, like I said, these failed the last 2 times by 70% minimum. I don't need those new items falling at all, because those items, those are items that are like duplicate, and if you read it, it is like, what's this? And this Florida State, this taps this. So, you know, our deputy city manager is correct on that. Those need change. So I don't want to have, because we want to add this makes everything else fails that is necessary. Go. I said my piece.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Ramos?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for point of clarification, Commissioner Anita, I don't think that the question that was brought from the charter review, and guys, correct me, please, was about whether the city manager lives here or not. I think it was more of how long can we have an interim city manager. That was a conversation that I recall that was brought up from, again, I'm not going one way or the other. I just want to bring clarification that, as far as I understand, the Charter Review Committee never brought the question of whether live or not live here. That's my understanding. I just want clarification on that.
Yeah, Ms. Stacey, if you could, because I thought it was both. I thought it was how long we had it acting and whether or not they were like they had to live in the city.
Can you clarify?
Yeah, what was brought forward was that there would be a limit on how long someone could serve as acting.
Yep.
Okay.
There was no residency
Okay.
brought forth.
But I would also say, yes, we had a Charter Review Committee. It wasn't brought up. You know, do we have the question now, and maybe do we have consent? That's a whole different question. I just wanted that clarification that we never received, as far as from the board, of the city manager living or not living here.
So if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
just one other clarification. So if you were to do that, you would have 2 items on the ballot. So what you just passed would be 1 question to the voters. So those things, if they agree, would be removed. The second question would be about the residency.
Commissioner Bradford, are you still on the board? No.
What's
Okay.
the cost on this? What's the cost to put these on the ballot and to do everything we're doing for each one?
There usually isn't a cost. It's going to depend on how many cities put on referendum questions, and if you go on to the second page, I've gotten proofs, and we should be good with this question. We should not have a cost for it.
So our advertising at this point for it would be the education piece to the public. I don't have a number on that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So commissioners, what Commissioner McCool is asking for consensus, she is asking whether or not the commission has a desire to move forward another charter amendment addressing residency of charter officers. And from what I'm hearing from you, addressing the verbiage of a radius, because the history of this is in the initial Deltona charter, there was no residency requirement of city managers. There was not a residency requirement. It was a charter amendment that was put in I believe 2006, 2008, somewhere in there. An amendment was put in for the city manager and the city attorney to live in the city, and it passed. And it has been brought up twice for removal, and both times it failed. So it's my understanding you are looking at, and that was an up or down vote, they have to live in the city or they don't. And it's my understanding, ma'am, you are asking specifically, can you lay out to the commission what you are specifically asking for? Then we will call for consensus, and then we will bring this forward if the commission agrees. And then at that time, as it's brought forth as an agenda item, we will go through the proper process.
I would like, first of all, clarification on if that language is, I don't remember because we read this so many times, I just need a head nod. I need to understand that this language is not currently in the charter as it is being rewritten. The language regarding residency of the charter officers.
I'm confused.
It was. Are you sure?
It's in the charter. The only.
It's in the charter.
Yes.
It's not in the amendment.
It's in the charter.
As it's rewritten, correct?
There's no rewrite.
There's no rewrite.
Yeah, you mean as if we, this.
What was I'm just saying it was not part that was stricken, because right
No,
now,
no.
here's,
What we just approved, no.
okay.
That is only
My point is that we are a charter city and currently have no charter officers. If we're good with that as a city, let's rock and roll. But I'm pointing that out again, as it's been pointed out to me, right? And so I just want to make that clarification. If the city commission doesn't want to distinguish that, because we have no charter officers, how do we answer that question?
Well, Commissioner McCool, just clarify what you need consensus on. What is, if you are asking to have a charter amendment put on for the residents to vote, am I clear with that? That's correct. What do you want that charter amendment to state in just simple terms, not details? Let staff work with that if the commission agrees to move such an item forward. The commission still can vote it up or down.
So I'm asking you to ferret that out, Madam Mayor, because we right now have the issue that we are a charter city with no charter officers. So there's a couple of things that can happen. You can rewrite, or you can have the people vote on if there is a residency requirement, right, that remains the way that it is, okay? Or how do we go about installing charter officers into our charter city? So, I'm just bringing that up. It's been brought up to me. We're a charter city with no charter officers.
What is it exactly that you would like? You would like to bring forth a charter amendment stating, addressing, because in the beginning you said you want to address the residency of the charter officers and change what is in the charter now that requires them to live in the city within 6 months, or the commission can extend it to a year. That is the current status for both, unless it is a firm. If we get a management firm or an attorney firm, they're not a charter officer, it becomes a firm. So you're saying that if it was a charter officer, an actual city attorney that we hired one, right now would have to live in the city. A city manager, not interim, not acting, would have to live in the city. So are you requesting that that be completely removed, or that there be a change in verbiage? You mentioned a radius. Are you requesting that we say instead of, and I'm only just, don't let me put words in your mouth, but I'm just hearing what you said initially. The city manager or city attorney and city attorney, if they're not a firm, have to live within X miles of the city of Deltona.
Madam Mayor, again, what I'm asking for and what I'm bringing up is resolution of the fact that we are a charter city with no charter officers. Go ahead, Commissioner Bradford.
Go ahead, Commissioner Bradford, you're back on the...
Well, the only way we can become, as our resolution, as our everything is right now, to become a charter city with charter offices is to continue the search that we started for city manager. That's it. I mean, we already have everything laid out on what we're supposed to do. So if you want us to go, if we need to go forward with the search, then we go through with the search. I mean, that's it.
And the search requirements will say the city manager and the city attorney, if it's an individual, has to live in the city within 6 months or a year. They cannot be hired unless, and be our city manager, unless they move into the city of Deltona, period. End of quotation. That is what our charter states.
And you know what? Herein lies the rub. Herein lies the rub. Here we are. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to shut up. Here we are, a charter city, right? Bringing forth a new charter, right? To continue being a charter city. And we're in a difficult position because we have a more than competent potential charter officer, right? City manager, who's doing a great job for us. That's got a contract. This affects him no way right now, right? This doesn't affect him because of his contract. He's doing a great job. I'm asking, as we move forward, what does that look like? Do we just, what do we do?
You go for a search. You either keep them on a contract or you go for a search. You have two options. And if you go for a search, the criteria of the search is they have to live in the city. They don't have to buy a house. They can rent a house, which every one of them has done. No one has bought a house in this city. Let's be clear with that. Not one charter officer has bought a house. One did. Okay, according to Mr. Bryan, one did. One city attorney did buy a house. He bought and didn't live in it. And that's fine. But there's ways to get around that. If you can rent a room and have an address, or maybe have a post office box. But the point of the matter is, when this was put in 2006 or 2008, it was mandated they live here.
Madam Mayor, could you clarify why it was put in the charter to begin
Well,
with?
like everything else, it more than likely had something to do with a personal thing that somebody wanted somebody in here, didn't want somebody else, because that's the way everything works. It's usually a personal vendetta against somebody or something. I hate to say it, but I'm going to be, I've been up here long enough. I'm going to be brutally honest about this. Okay? That's usually the way it is. We want somebody or we don't want somebody. If we don't want somebody, we create a residency requirement. If we want somebody that's here, that's good too. So let's be realistic about that. That's why that was done. What other reason would you recommend? This city right now is in a housing crisis like Central Florida. There are very few rentals available, and we certainly have no apartments. We don't even have an apartment complex in this city that someone can move into temporarily for a year or 2 years, because what's our average life of the manager? 2 years. So if you realistically think that someone's going to come to this city and buy a house in here and move their family for a 2-year gig, I'm just saying.
And there you go. That's what I'm trying to clarify. So for the record, so that my words are not screwed up, I believe at some juncture that we have to decide what we are. Personally, I like our city manager, and I like the job that he does. It's not aimed personally towards him. This is the most stability that we've had in a while, right?
The reality is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the last 5 didn't live in the city. The one didn't, he was interim, Mr. Baker. That's it. 4 of the last 5 didn't have property here. They rented another house, kept their house, or they didn't even move in the city in the time frame. Let's just look at the reality of that. And the city attorney firm, when we did a search last time, you got 4 or 5 firms, and the 4 individuals or 5 individuals that would have had to move into the city, nobody was qualified for 10 years of government experience. Not one was qualified. That's true, Mr. Prom King. Not one. They didn't have the qualifications. So Commissioner Ramos, and then we will wrap this up. Commissioner McCool, then you can ask for your consensus if you so desire to address this further with a charter amendment or not.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's where I was heading. You know, either Commissioner McCool, you have options. And if it's something, that language that you want, then put it out there to see if there's consensus. If not, we're just going to be
I understand.
hitting a tennis ball back and forth. So if you have something in mind that you want to present to the dais, put it out there. Let's see if we have consensus, because we're under a time crunch. If there's any change to
Got to
happen,
be tonight or never.
it's going to be tonight. So whatever you have in mind, I say put it out there, because if not, I'd say
Look,
let's
the
move on.
commission can either say yes or no for it. That's it. Ask for consensus to move it forward.
Madam Mayor, I'm asking for consensus to clear up the language and add residency language for distance, that a city manager or attorney could live in the city. So to change the language for the charter language regarding residency.
Okay, you are asking for consensus.
Yes,
We are going to go down the line, starting with you.
yes.
Ramos,
And I hate to be difficult, but we're talking about distance. What distance are you talking about?
pick a number,
5 miles. Distance can be 30 miles.
pick a radius, be realistic.
Surrounding cities, you know,
That's vague.
35,
Pick a
35,
distance.
50 miles. Well, I'm bringing this up, and it's not like I've,
It can be,
not talked about it, so.
if there is consensus to move forward, pick a number. It can be modified at a meeting.
I'm going to say 50 miles.
50 miles, 50 miles.
This can be talked about.
Yeah, it's got to be talked about at a public hearing.
Yeah.
All right, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
No. Oh, I thought you were pointing to
No?
me.
I would do it if there's a time restriction on it too, that they lived in their residence more than, say, 5 years, not somebody that comes in and moves in a neighboring city or across the river. If it's got a
If
residency
you got a homesteaded property that you're living in,
that you were living in for, let's say, 5 years, then I would be okay.
so
with it.
you're okay with just bringing it forward for discussion? Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we have yes, 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 no, yes. You have consensus. Good luck at the next one.
Thank you.
Just saying. All right. We will now go to item B, public hearing, ordinance number 14-2022. No, I lie. 2022-20, acceptance of the I-4 logistics plat for approximately 128.37 acres of land. Mr. Paradise, or are you doing this one, John?
I'm handling this one. It's Paradise is on a well-deserved vacation. I-4 Logistics at the property across the street from Amazon. The property was recently cleared. We are at a point now where we are ready to approve the plat to create Lot 1. Lot 1 will be the location of a 1 million square foot high bay warehouse. Right now, there is not a known party that will be there, but it's important that with the plat get done so that this Thursday at DRC, we can hopefully approve the development order so that they can start going vertical with construction. It's the belief of staff that the vertical construction will entice some people that C3 Properties are working with to come to Deltona. So we are recommending approval of the plat to create Lot 1.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, if you have any questions?
I do.
Yes, ma'am?
Mr. Peters, can you tell me, like during development review, I just want to get deeper into when we get into that, just with the tree preservation in there, because can we talk about that?
Yes, ma'am. We have already gone through the entire tree preservation and habitat protection for the club jays and the gopher tortoise. That's already been done. We have been working with Fish and Wildlife on that. So any work that's being done is essentially complete, in that regard, so it's strictly going to be site construction at this point.
Okay, because we have brought up before regarding like so tree preservation, there's that pond area, those 2 pond areas right there. I'm really adamant about that. And because we talked before about during clearing, it's so dusty and dirty, and we talked about like managing that at sites, right? So I just want to make sure that that's still very important, you know what I mean, when we're moving through this.
Yes, ma'am. The site plan includes a lot of landscaping that goes along with it, but most of the tree preservation is being done in concert with the habitat protection.
Yep. I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor,
If there are no more questions, I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead.
I hereby move to approve resolution number 2022-20, accepting the I-4 Logistics Park plot and authorizing the mayor to sign the plot.
Second.
I'm not finished.
Oh, you paused. I'm still looking at the drawing, sorry.
The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections to scrivener errors and the likes. Now you can second.
Second.
Okay, properly moved by Vice Mayor Avila-Vasquez and seconded by Commissioner Bradford. Do we have any members of the public that signed up to speak on this list?
No, Mayor.
And we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing. This is a resolution, so it doesn't need to be read. We have a motion and a second. Joyce, will you read the motion, please? And then we'll vote.
The motion reads, I hereby move to approve resolution number 2022-20, accepting the I-4 Logistics Park plat and authorize the mayor to sign the plat. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Thank you, ma'am. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 6-0. We'll move to item 7, old business. There is none. Item 8, new business. 8A, contract, Portland Industrial Park Tri-Party Proportionate Fair Share Agreement between USEF I-4 Logistics, Deltona, which is the owner, Volusia County, and the city of Deltona. Mr. Peters.
Yes, ma'am. This is a tri-party agreement between Volusia County, City of Deltona, and the developer. Basically, this is an agreement with regard to the use of the impact fees. This is a significant amount of money. The city portion is over $800,000. The county portion is about $4.9 million. This is critical in terms of the infrastructure improvements and roadway improvements that need to be done to support this project, and we are recommending approval.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, any comments? Commissioner Sosa?
On this here, that $900,000, that's going to go to city approximately $900,000. Is that going to go towards the Rhode Island extension from Normandy to Howland?
Yes, sir. The intent is to have it that way, as I explained to you all last year when we set aside money. Our intention is the impact fees that we bring in will be going toward the road improvement to reduce the amount of money that we take from the transportation fund. We are currently working with the county, where the county impact fees will also be put toward Rhode Island and Normandy improvements, and we are finalizing that agreement, and that is our intention long-term, if the entire amount of this tri-party agreement will go to both Normandy and Rhode Island.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bradford?
So when I was reading this yesterday, there was a portion of this when we were doing, I think it was this one, part of the TIA, where they were going over the traffic impact that this would have. How are we going to eliminate that? How are we going to fix the problem?
Can you ask that one more time?
According to the information that I read yesterday, it basically stated, and I'm trying to find it in here.
You're looking at the whereas, the results of the TIA indicate
Well,
that.
it was going over the TIA. It says on page 1 of 22, the results of the TIA indicate that insufficient roadway capacity exists in the vicinity of the master track with the anticipated traffic impacts of the master project, and whereas. So I want to make sure that it's out here exactly how that's going to be fixed, and we're not just throwing something out here that we had a TIA on and we just pushed it through. So in all transparency, I'd like everybody to know how we're going to make sure that we stay in compliance with this and we make it so that it is a safe area.
The traffic impact analysis shows what the impact of the project would be on the general roadway network in the area using a county model. So it is conceivable that the county could say that the impact on this project will be over on Veterans Memorial in Kentucky, and they would put their share over there. Now, part of the agreement that we're trying to work with them is a commitment from the county that the impact fees that are generated within the Deltona Village area would go toward Rhode Island and Normandy, inclusive of a road over I-4 to connect to Rhode Island on the other side. So we have had those discussions with the county. They are favorable. They have asked that we complete a traffic analysis to show that the putting Rhode Island in and improving Normandy will help the overall road network. And the key to that is my belief that the portion of the road that would go from Normandy over to Veterans Memorial would be that part that would improve the overall road network. So that will be part of the ultimate agreement we have with the county. Based on what's here right now, we know that the city portion will go to Rhode Island and Normandy improvement. The county portion is subject to further negotiation and city commission approval at a later date.
And that was my concern, is I don't want to say that, hey, we're taking this approximately $900,000 and we're just going to put it towards the Rhode Island extension. You know, we have residents that are in that area off of Normandy, near the Sullivan, Saxon, that whole area, that are also impacted by this. So a lot of times when we think of that area, we're only thinking of Normandy and Graves. But as you go down, and Commissioner Villavasquez, we're hitting her territory too now, because as we go down Normandy and we're crossing over Saxon, I mean, we have a lot of traffic coming through this area. So I just want to make sure that since they've spelled out that, we do have a concern here, that we're addressing the whole area, not just saying, okay, we're going to throw this over here just at the Rhode Island, because I believe, like I said, as you're heading down, Sullivan is a major cut through. What they're doing, they're hitting Sullivan and they're going over and they're jogging right on through and they're kicking over to Saxon. So these are things that, I do have concerns about in the district, and I do hear the concerns quite frequently of, oh my gosh, you're bringing more traffic to the area. So that's why, in all transparency, I said, okay, how can we fix this and make it before it gets to be bad?
Let me assure you that during the entire review process, including Big Thursday, had been a lot of discussion about how we control the traffic from going down North Normandy from this project to Saxon. We did certain things with the Amazon project to discourage that, and we have done very well with that. We've had a few trucks that misbehave, but that has been cleared up. We are going to do similar traffic control devices and alignments that will discourage trucks from going that route. So we're doing everything we can to encourage people to go back toward the Howland 472 interchange at I-4. And like I said before, a road connecting from Normandy over to Veterans Memorial with a possible interchange tied in with the I-4 Beyond Ultimate project would further improve that entire traffic situation. If we had an interchange at Rhode Island, I'm pretty certain that the Amazon traffic would use it rather than driving through 3 or 4 stoplights in order to get to I-4. So this whole Rhode Island corridor is extremely important to the overall traffic operation in that area, and that's what we're pursuing.
Okay, and I get what you're saying, so I just want to make sure I understand what I'm saying. You're addressing the people that are over there. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Over where?
Across the bridge, let's say, or going over the I-4. All right. So Deltona also has many roads that go down to other areas, okay? So what I really get concerned on is not the ones that need to hop on that Rhode Island to go over to Orange City or these other local cities, okay? I'm concerned with my residents here that they could be going down Normandy and going to the other side. You know, people don't just work and aren't just hitting these areas that are going to be jumping on that Rhode Island. You know, you've already have Howland Boulevard, which is probably the most dangerous road right now in the city of Deltona. They're going from one end to the next. We have Normandy going all the way down to Doyle and hitting on I-4 right there. We have people going down Normandy, hitting Sullivan, hitting Finland, going to Saxon and getting on I-4. So there's going to still be, and I'm not talking just trucks, I'm talking people going to work. I'm talking, you know, the traffic of that as well. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to see all of this just being thrown on the Rhode Island extension. I think you get it, so I appreciate it.
Any more questions, commissioners? Is there any member for the public that signed up to speak for this, Liz?
No, Mayor.
And we'll close the public comment portion of this item. Do we have a motion for this? If not, I'll pass the gavel to the Vice Mayor. Vice Mayor?
motion.
Okay.
I hereby move to approve the Portland Industrial Park Tri-Party Proportionate Fair Share Agreement and authorize the mayor to sign and otherwise execute the agreement. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections to scrivener's errors and the like.
Commissioner Bradford seconded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on the board. Okay, motion by Vice Mayor Velasquez, seconded by Commissioner Bradford. This is no ordinance, no resolution. May we move vote, please?
Motion reads, I hereby move to approve the Portland Industrial Park Tri-Party Proportionate Fair Share Agreement and authorize the mayor to sign and otherwise execute the agreement. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Thank you, ma'am. May we vote? And the motion passes 6-0. Next item, B, is a contract to approve resolution number 2022-22 to include the budget amendment and to approve the award of bid to Government Services Group, Inc. for the fire assessment fee consultation services and budget amendment for $75,000. Mr. Peters or Finance, anyone that has any comments on this? Commissioners, if you have any comments for staff, please ring in. Commissioner Sosa.
Yeah, when I look at this, I just see that we're paying $75,000 for a study to just figure out how to do a tax swap on the residents. We take it from one fund, put it in another fund, and then we leave a lot of ad valorem to where years 2, 3, 4 from now, you can just increase the taxes in that column. So I would be a strong no on this one.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the commission? Liz, has anyone signed up from the public for this item?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Oh. Yes, sir.
Another study, another consultant. Come on, come on. I mean, when does it stop?
Thank you, sir. That closes the public comment portion of the hearing. Okay, commissioners, we need a motion to approve or deny this resolution. This is a budget amendment for assessing a consultant for fire to look into a fire assessment fee. If the commission wants to move forward, we need a motion. If they want to deny, we need a motion for that as well. And I see nothing. So we'll move on to the next item. The item itself dies. Then we'll move on to the public forum. Has anyone signed up for public forum?
Yes, Mayor. King Richard, please.
King Richard. Wasn't that the guy they found names in the car?
Heidi, you said something that struck me. You know, you said about favoritism, right? I just want to give you a little sample of favoritism. When Mr. Peters came here, he had a staunch supporter in Mr. Fowler, right? Now, when John O'Grady come, he had a staunch ally in Peters. I mean, you're talking about something that's going on and on and on. And how about this now? I know you're saying kind of think about it, but How about, yous all live in the city, right? They don't. They make the rules. Are yous puppets or representatives? That's all I got to say on that subject. Now, I'd like to thank Mr. Sosa for making Saturday night and Deltona senior night. He turned all the seniors into teenagers. It was a hell of a job he did. He's not getting enough credit. And Joe Hearn, he deserves credit too. And to Barry, what a bunch of nice people. Man, I so many people that could come over to me and talk to me, and I was overwhelmed. I really was. I was sweating. I just didn't have the answers for the people. Well, what's wrong with Deltona? There's a lot wrong with Deltona. Now, when you put the search out for city manager and city attorney, they weren't making the kind of money these guys are making now. That's a different story now. If you're a baseball player, you can't hit a home run unless you get up to the plate. Now, why not advertise now? Give their salaries. Come on, I hear his salary's over $1 million a year. He says he laughs. That's his intelligence. He loses every lawsuit, settles every lawsuit, but yet he laughs at something I said. Come on. Now, you all say Peters is doing a great job. I really don't know that. I got nothing against the guy. Only thing I say is, O'Grady came here, Peters supported him. Every time something happens, there's a consultant, there's a fee, and yes, no, oh, 4-3. Now let's get back to the seniors. Let's get really, they had a good time. They really did. Mm-hmm. Those people love that. They love that. Now they're all telling me, tell Sosa to do it again. Tell Sosa to do it again. I mean, come on. This is what Deltona needs. There's no spirit in Deltona. And another thing is advertising for the center. It's a bad time to do anything. The center ain't going to do nothing. It's going to stay like it is for a while. You got a bad economy, high food prices, everything like that. The other day, last time I was here, I mentioned hamburgers up, sausages up, and I got so pissed off I forgot about the cannolis. They're up too. Now, really, Heidi, you seen those people? Now, Barry, there's some nice people over there, boy. There was no animosity. Everybody was handshaking and hugging. Oh, my God, I never got so hugs in my life. I really thought that I was the mayor. And the only thing that I'm going to say now... You danced
like it, sir.
Excuse me?
You danced like it. You were great.
Yeah, well, you know, I told you a long time ago, I only look like a spare tire. No, but anyway, I want to tell all the seniors in DeBarry especially, I love you people in Deltona, but you people in DeBarry were so nice to me, and it was left such an impression. When they put the crown on, my head was too big for the crown. It fell off. But anyway, the only thing I'm going to tell you seniors is, let's think about, they love my impressions of Bobby Darin and Elvis too, by the way. But anyway, I want to tell the seniors once again, we'll do one thing again. Let's twist again.
Thank you, sir.
Closes public comments, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, next is comments on consent agenda. Do we have anyone that signed up for comments on consent?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then we'll move on with the consent agenda. We have 2 items on there. Item A is request approval for purchase of Evening Shade 60/40 blend rye seed to transition from Bermuda to ryegrass for the winter season at multiple facilities. I think that's that pretty green stuff. That looks really nice. And B, request approval the execution of the agreement for transfer of public road jurisdiction and maintenance pursuant to Section 335.0415 Florida statute with Volusia County for the acquisition of the Providence Boulevard right-of-way between Howland Boulevard and Lakeshore Drive with the exception of certain intersections. Commissioner Sosa.
Do we need to pull item B? I'd like to.
If you want to pull item B, go ahead.
Just to discuss, or we can ask questions and vote on it?
No, you're going to pull it, and we're going to vote on A then, if no one pulls that. So just pull B, and then we'll vote on A, and then we'll come to B with you, okay? Okay, Commissioner Sosa is requesting to pull item B, so is there a motion for item A? Let's see. Commissioner Ramos.
Madam Mayor, my button's not working, by the way.
Your what?
My button. It's like popping in and out, so that's what makes it hard to push the button is it's like got to go to certain screens, and right now it's not even here.
Commissioner, did you have a question on A?
No, I don't.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve consent agenda item A.
Oh.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Ramos, seconded by the mayor. May we vote on item A, please, which is the grass.
The motion is to approve consent agenda item A.
Yes. Okay, motion passes 6-0. Item B, Commissioner Sosa.
Yeah, when we take over Providence, we're looking at taking over the whole road, the sidewalks, the actual blacktop, as well as the medians. That's going to be maintenance and repairs of all of it, correct? And that money that the county currently gets for that road, since it is a county road, will be transferred to the city, correct?
Well, let me clarify here. Under a state Supreme Court decision in the 1950s, the city is already responsible for the sidewalks and the medians on the road. The county is responsible for roadway drainage, roadway-related drainage, and the pavement. So, you know, it's a fairly, in my view, it's a fairly equal proportioning now in terms of maintenance requirements. So, yes, we would be taking over all the stormwater related to the road and the pavement. One of the problems that we have consistently had is working with the county within their right-of-way utilization permit to do certain stormwater projects. For instance, over in the Lamplighter area, we had a plan for helping the drainage over there. The bottleneck is getting the drainage across Providence. In fact, that's an area where a lot of people have noticed the rutted black color soil. That's county right away, and they won't let us do the stormwater. The other area that's been a problem is at Normandy and Providence. We have had a project that we have been trying to do for some time to fix the drainage. A significant part of that is the water coming off of Providence. And so we're doing a project on Normandy to compensate for it. Needless to say, it's more expensive than if we were working within the Providence right away to fix it. By doing this project, that's something that we can pull back and do a cheaper alternative that fixes it, in my view, better. So it's things like that that makes this important. The county, while it wasn't the best paving job, did recently pave it. So the road should have a life of about another 20, 25 years before it needs to be paved again. So if there was ever a time that it would be opportune to take over the road, now's the time. Just from a paving standpoint, and with the stormwater and all that, it's really critical that we consider this.
Okay. Now the money you get, that would be the fair share, I guess, from the gas tax based on mileage and that. Do you plan on putting that in any special type of fund just for, you know, road improvements on Providence for resurfacing and so forth? Or will that just go into the general transportation fund and we'll eat the cost when we get there in 25 years?
Well, Volusia County has a gas tax share formula. In the past, that formula was based on population. So taking over this road actually would have been detrimental to it because we would not have seen an increase in the gas tax revenue coming to the city. 2 years ago, they changed that formula that over a 5-year period, we will transition from population-based to strictly lane mile based. So with that transitioning occurring, we know that the city will be receiving more gas tax revenue based on the 6.3 miles or whatever extra lane miles. So we know we will be getting the revenue from the gas tax. That will be put in our transportation fund. And like any other road in the city, it will be programmed based on pavement management system process. So we have money coming in, and it will be handled like all the other roads in the city.
Thank you.
And it's also, in your packet, you will see that it addresses the Providence Trail, correct? Because all the time and all the effort we spent through the Providence Trail, the county was not going to give us the right-of-way.
The county's not going to give us the right-of-way utilization permit.
Yep.
And so that project will die.
Yep.
And we are up against a critical time frame because by the end of September, we have to be able to certify to the DOT under our LAP project that we are ready to move forward. So this is, and thank you, Mayor. I knew there was another item that I was forgetting. And a critical part of that, for those of you all that drive the southern end of Providence, is the mailboxes. They're right up against the road. When the mailman comes to, or woman, come to deliver mail, they can't get completely off the road. In many cases, they can't even get off the road. And so it creates a traffic hazard. And there's a couple semi-blind hills in there. So part of this agreement is with the Postal Service. We are looking to moving the mailboxes to gang mailboxes. One of them will be by the Fisher wastewater plant, which gets people off the main drag. And we have a couple other locations that we're looking at. So the county, in a separate letter agreement, has said that they will provide the funds to move those mailboxes once the Postal Service is ready with the equipment and everything else to make that happen. So it's a win-win in terms of the LAP project. That's a significant amount of money for the sidewalk improvement and for the mailbox situation.
And it's the joke is there's the regular road and then there's the mail road, because it creates a huge stormwater problem more than anything else. It's so rutted that it creates a massive stormwater problem in that whole area. It's just so much flooding around some of those areas. Okay, Commissioner Ramos, Bradford, and Sosa.
Did you have any questions? I was just going to make a motion for approval.
Go ahead.
Okay. I approve for item under consent agenda B. Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Commissioner Ramos, seconded by Commissioner Bradford. Commissioner Sosa, did you have a question?
Yes. Why would the county not approve your request?
Sir, at the very southern end of the road, right at Doyle, there's a very restricted right-of-way. And the project that we have will completely fill that right-of-way. Their concern is that at some point, there may be need for a dual left on Doyle or a dual right on Doyle, and there won't be enough right-of-way. Well, guess what? You're going to have to buy right-of-way at that point.
Bingo.
And worse yet, you're going to have to move poles. And these are not the cheap poles. These are the expensive poles that are like $500,000 a piece. So it seemed that, I don't want to say disingenuous, but that's the first word that comes to my mind, that, they made it an issue when in reality, if there was ever another lane added, there would have to be right-of-way acquisition anyway, regardless of this trail. So, that was the primary reason they gave for giving us a difficult time with this.
Okay, because currently the sidewalks are like 6 feet wide, and we're just going to put a trail to extend it 2 feet to 8 feet, is that correct?
I believe the sidewalks out there now are generally 5 feet. It will extend it to 8 feet, but more importantly is that we will deal with drainage issues, ADA accessibility issues. If you go out there, there's sections of the sidewalk that are extremely steep. In fact, has a handrail on it. And when you come off that sidewalk, there's a drainage problem right at the bottom. We have a lot of driveways with culverts under them. It's really an uncontrolled drainage situation. This project will not only put the sidewalk in, but will do things to help control the drainage and make it better.
Okay. Now, do we plan on fixing the drainage issues when we're doing the trail? Or is that going to be in another budget?
In the portion of the project where the trail is, the drainage will be dealt with.
All right, thank you.
And the reality is, talking to the county for the Providence Trail has been worked on at least 3 years, right, Ramos? Before you got on the TPO. And the reality is, years ago we talked about widening Providence Boulevard, and at that time the county had said to me it would be at least 10 years. It would be a 10-year process to acquire the right-of-way, the rights-of-way, the properties that they would have to purchase in order to realistically widen Providence Boulevard. And when you get to the Doyle and Providence intersection, like you said, you have the posts, you have all of that. If it's going to ever be dealt with, it has to be dealt with in a massive way. And it's not going to happen right now. There's just no way. There's no funding at all for it. So Thank you, Mr. Peters. This is, I think, for moving forward, this is the best thing that can happen right now for us.
And Mayor, I would like to just expand on your item about widening. The reality is we can't widen. In the area where the shopping center and the Kentucky Fried Chicken, there's a very limited right-of-way. If we would try to widen it, we would get into the parking for all those businesses down through there. They would have totally inadequate parking. The same thing happens in other locations along there where the houses are relatively close to the road. And if we were to widen it, people would be left with maybe the ability to park one car in their driveway. And my belief that Providence is not a road that we will ever see widen in our lifetime.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second, and may you please read the motion, Joyce, and then we'll vote.
The motion was to approve consent agenda item B.
Okay, may we vote, please? And the motion passes 6-0. Hallelujah, that one's been a long time coming. City Commission special reports and requests. Commissioners, yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor and Commissioner Bradford.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that Mr. Gene Gizzi came out last week and he spoke to the commission, and he's putting a fundraiser together, I believe it's August 20th. And I spoke to Mr. Peters, and I just, to purchase a table for the city is $250 for the table. And I just want to get a consensus from the dais up here, if we can all agree to give Mr. Peters directions to purchase the table for this fundraiser. The funds are going to two organizations. One of them is the Backpack Buddies, which also services children in the city of Deltona.
Yes.
What was the amount?
$250 for a table of 8.
Okay, commissioners, do we have consensus? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, yes, you have consensus. Everyone 6-0 agrees to fund the table.
Just to let the audience know, is the Orlando Big Band that's coming out to play.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Bradford?
Thank you.
Don't laugh. Santa called, and it's Christmas in July, and he wants to know, yes, I know, right? I really thought it's because I was bad, but, he assured me how good I've been. So he's asking what the city of Deltona can do for Christmas in July. He has done several events in Deltona the last couple years where, we generally drive around the subdivisions and collect toys that would then be donated to Operation Changing Lives. And being that it's Christmas in July, he wants to know if the city of Deltona would like to participate. We're looking at July 30th, just holding a event maybe from 9 to 11. The Dollar General and a couple other businesses have already said yes, they would partner with. I wanted to see if the city of Deltona wanted to partner with this one, and see if we could, get the center for 2 hours and have Santa there. I mean, obviously we can drive through the subdivisions on his sleigh again, but it's a little warm. I mean, I hate to make him do that in his full sleigh and get up with the reindeer. So I'm asking to see if we can do that. I'd like to just do something at the center, see if we can have the fire trucks out there, just do something small, a couple hours at the center. That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
July 30th.
Okay, ma'am, we'll go right down the roll.
Yes.
Okay, Vice Mayor? Yes. Okay, number 2.
Thank you.
You're all set. Commissioner McCool. Oh, here we get another ask.
We're on the roll right here. In the charitable spirit, and I would like to ask, I was supposed to have been done 2 weeks ago, so I'm just going to put this out there, a special request only for advertising for the city for our Community Services Day on August 6th at the center. We've had a generous sponsor purchase the time, support the time at the center, so we would like to work with the Deltona Deltona TV to promote this, so I would like consensus from the commission. I think that it's going to probably be $250 to spend that advertising time to promote Community Services Day, which will bring over 30 community partners to the center. There will be free HIV testing, free blood pressure testing. There will be the Volusia County Sheriff's Office will be setting up the Hidden in Plain Sight room there, which will invite parents in to look at a mock bedroom set up by the Sheriff's Department to show where children might be stashing stuff. We will have free legal services and counseling for those that might not be able to afford it. There'll be attorneys pro bono. So I would like the consensus of the commission for advertising for that event. I say yes.
I just have one concern.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Because here's the thing. We're doing it because a commissioner is asking for it. So does that mean that if someone in the audience is going to use the center and it's considered a community event, the city then should be responsible to as well advertise that? That's the only thing. I don't have a problem with the city advertising, but are we going to open it up then to whatever's happening in the city, however you might consider it being community event or not, then the city should advertise. That's my only concern. Are we opening up here? Is there a way for the city to partner?
Sponsor
and maybe
or something.
That way, the city, anything that the city sponsors, the city advertise. And that's my only concern, because if we do this, I won't mention anything, but we just had an event that a lot of people thought the city sponsored when the city did not sponsor it.
Okay,
So
can we get...
That's my only concern.
Okay. I don't care what you dress it up as. Mr. Acting City Manager, could you clarify how this could be done without conflict, please? And could you make a suggestion?
Can you ask that again, please?
Could you clarify how the city could help sponsor this event, because I offered that to begin with, and to make sure that this is advertised because it's for the community. All the nonprofits are coming together. If the city would like to sponsor this event, the sponsorship would be about $250 for the amount of time that it would take for staff to mock up an advertisement and put it out. Could you make the suggestion of how to make that happen?
The simple fact is the city's involvement would be strictly for the purpose of advertising. That would be putting a piece together for Deltona TV or a Facebook posting or something like that. I don't believe you're asking for us to do newspaper advertisement or anything like that.
No.
I somewhat liken it to the event that we had here on Saturday. That was a city-sponsored event because our department was running it. It was very well attended. Just having the advertisement that we had made a huge difference. All last week, we were seeing news spots on Channel 6, Channel 9, Channel 2 about you have a deadline in Seminole County of such and such date. In Orange County, such and such date. We did something different. We actually had an event for people to come here for the very same thing that these other cities were requiring people to go online and do. A lot of people don't have the ability to go online and do this stuff. They need to be able to be in person. So we advertised that. We got with the local media. I can tell you from watching the level of coverage that we got, strictly because we were doing it in-house, in person, made a huge difference in terms of the coverage we got, and it resulted in an event that we thought would be over by 1 o'clock, and it went till 4:30. So what you're providing is a social service type thing. I believe that by advertising, we will get more people to show up. And I don't think that there is an issue with regard to the city being involved strictly in the advertisement.
Yep, that's all I'm asking.
So I'm going to make a suggestion. Mr. Peters, we have a sponsorship form, I believe, somewhere along the line. For every one of these events, fill out a simple form.
Is that commission,
You're going to get commission consensus for all of these events, but if it's formalized and it is part of a public record, it can be said next year or 2 years down the road, this was approved by the city commission, the consensus was there, and this is what the city did. And that's how you formalize it. And it's a transparent process that nobody can come back at you and say, well, you did this, and you did this, and you did this.
Thank you for that advice.
And I think that we need to do that because we can't run this like a little town anymore. There has to be a formal process, whether and it should be very simple, but it needs to be transparent so that you can go back through the years and see where the money went and where the time went. So if we can just do that for all the things that we request, like that where the city should sponsor, I think it's going to be a lot cleaner.
Yep.
And you just have a very simple form. So you are asking for consensus. Vice Mayor, did you have a comment on this?
I have a question.
Okay.
Who's putting on this event?
There is a collective group. I'm working with the county, okay, with members of the county to put it on. When I asked for sponsorship, the sponsors directly paid for the time at the center, right, so as not to commingle any funds. I hate to call upon Deltona Strong to try to put on all of these events, but they've stepped up to the plate to put on these events. So short answer, it is a collective group of people putting on the event. It's for the community. There is no for-profit persons there. I mean, there is, Halifax will be there. All of these services are geared towards the community for services, if they need to be connected with social services. So that's the long answer.
Okay, I just want to, since you asked, about guidance, I just want to suggest that going forward, somebody take the ownership of these events, because I'm getting comments from people saying that some of these events, they're getting preference because it's coming from a commissioner. If you have an organization who is putting on the event, then that organization should be here, asking and speaking for you. I'm just
Thank you for that, Vice Mayor. That is very sage advice. I understand that. I've heard that comment also, so thank you for that. And I would like to say, I would like to invite any organization in the city of Deltona, if they would like to come and shepherd that program, they can. Because the simple fact is that we don't have a community services driving committee in our city. We have planning services that does this, and Angela down in community, they're busy with and you know this, you sit on affordable housing, they're doing the SHIP, the LAP, anything that comes up still with COVID money. We don't have anyone doing this type of thing. So I am so open to somebody stepping up to the plate. Until then, I will keep driving this and invite partners, which I have done, and I appreciate that, Vice, because I've heard the same thing. You know what I mean? That the city manager or commission or whomever gives preference to someone, and I certainly don't, I've never been considered the teacher's pet, but I simply want things done for the community. Instead of sitting around waiting on it, I drive the ship. So if anybody would like to help, I am a wide open for that. Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Bradford?
I'm going to get my notes done here. So this is what I don't like. This started with Commissioner Novick. Novick started doing these social service summits and bringing the groups together along with Deltona Strong. I believe there was a couple groups involved. And this room was totally packed with the social services groups and organizations. And they had stopped due to COVID. And I believe as a commission up here, we talked about the city hosting and doing these social services events, but we couldn't get it worked out. This is where I get confused. I was elected as a commissioner. I basically see myself as anything I do, I'm representing the city and I'm representing the people. That's what this is. So if I have an event, I'm almost like, wow, I have to ask permission to go do this and to go do this and do this. When that's what I was elected to do. My mind's blown, you know? Oh, I want to do this? You need to go to the commission tonight and ask the commission if you can do this. What? What was I elected for? You know, I was elected to be out here doing events and items and events in the commission. So I think what I've seen firsthand what this social service summit does, and it is amazing to bring these groups and organizations together. And it's not easy to bring all these organizations together under one roof because they all have crazy schedules. And, you know, the comments I actually received phone calls after the last one that you guys did, and they just praised. They didn't praise you, they praised the city for putting on that event. And I didn't want to change it, but, you know, a great job was done. What I would like to see is, hey, not just we're advertising, we're the city. We're supposed to be doing this. We're supposed to be bringing these groups together and seeing what we can do. I mean, our staff can learn from some of these groups on how we can make our services better. I mean, that's how I see it. So I'm just trying to figure out why we're just saying all we can do is advertise.
Because, Commissioner Bradford, we just had a millage rate that we just set, and we have a budget that if the millage rate goes lower than what it is, we have to cut. And everything that we ask staff to do costs money, and it takes time and money, and there has to be a cost to that, whether it's somebody putting together a flyer, whether it's staff setting something up, whether it's staff, it is all taking staff time, and there's a cost to that. And if everybody does that, when are they going to do their regular jobs that they're hired for? And I support, you have a great point, all of you do. I support every event that the city wants to put on. I think it should be much more streamlined. I think that if we're asking the city to do advertising for something, the city gets a logo on there, that is their contribution, they get their logo on it, and they get a form filled out, and it doesn't matter the name. It has to be formalized to show what we did, and therefore you also have a track for funding. Because everybody asks, what do you spend the money on? What do you do with all the money? And nobody looks and sees how much it costs to take staff time to put these things together. Sometimes it's 3 clicks on a computer, and it's nothing. And other times there involves a meeting with a commissioner, a meeting with another commissioner. It involves meeting with another staff. How can we do this? And all that takes time. So I agree with you 100%. We are ambassadors for the city, and we should be doing whatever we can to further the city and do events for the community, like the senior prom, like these things. They're great events, but it has to be formalized so that the public and the commission sees the events that we put together and how much time and effort that costs, because everything has a cost to it. That's the only reason I say have a formal, simple process so it's transparent and clear.
Well, and my point back to what I was saying is the city needs to be involved in the social summit. They really do. Because like you're saying, Mayor, we're looking at a tight, possibly tight budget. We're looking at a year or the end of year, let's say third, fourth quarter, maybe first and second quarter, where we could be, as they're talking, recession and problems, and more people needing help with rent, more people needing help with utilities, more people needing help with food. And that's what that's for, to bring these groups together to figure out how, as a community, we're going to get through this. Mm-hmm. So it's more than just, hey, we're just doing this to bring it all together. I mean, I'd love to say, great, let's keep it rolling because we need to be proactive. We have staff that's been very in tune with all of these different groups and organizations as well. But, I was even shocked at the social services event. I met groups that I didn't know even existed. And I think there was this group meets this group, and they didn't know about that group. And now when somebody comes to them, they can refer them, hey, you know, you need that? Yeah, that's that group over there. I met them earlier. You know, go see them. So this is more than just, hey, we're just throwing information up in the air and seeing where it lands. This is very important for the community, you know, and I would love to see us do more. And I understand it's not budgeted, and unfortunately it's not budgeted, but, you know, we've got to start thinking of events like this, because as a commission, I can tell you for the last 2 years, we've said we want this social services group back up again. We want to get this rolling again. And you know, somebody up here took initiative. Kudos to you for doing it. That's your job as a commissioner. You know, let's just be conscious of, you know, if somebody thinks we're showing favoritism. But
completely agree with the mayor, and I completely agree with you, Commissioner. And I think the larger picture is that everybody sitting up here on this dais has a passion, right, for something that they do. I can look at each one of you and see what that is. I'm going to fully agree that the event that Commissioner Souza put on the other night should have been sponsored by the city, because I'm going to tell you, I was there and walked up, and when I seen the happy faces coming into that, it's something that we should be ambassadors of. Now, as far as process, oh, did I say process? That's from sitting next to you, Commissioner. As far as the process, there should be a blanket process, but I'm of a full belief that we support one another. It's apparent by us supporting one another on the dais. We should have a budget, a time budget, right? A time budget that we, and a monetary budget that we can all, and I think that the acting city manager has brought this up or talked about it before, that each one of us as a commissioner should have a budget, a yearly budget, right? A realistic budget. No, I'm not talking about breaking the bank, but I'm talking about something where we have comfort in knowing that we can continue to be ambassadors of the city and do an event knowing that we have support of the city. It takes creativity, right, for us to do that, and not to put us on our laurels as far as getting sponsorship, but things like that are specialized, advertising, right? The city, they're second to none at doing that, right? And know how to put that together. But I think that we need to visit that process so that we're able to do that and support one another and know that we have that and we can plan for the year, right? A project that we want to do. This is not the only important project, you know, that we have. Each one of them are important. So I am totally agreeing with you, Madam Mayor, because it does need to be memorialized, and the fact that we need to always provide that transparency, but I don't want it to be so much that it discourages anyone from participating or picking up, putting both hands on the plow when it comes to this. I don't mind investing my time in my community. I love what I do. I just need a little support doing this, you know what I'm saying? And I think that we should have a realistic expectation of what that looks like so that we can be supportive of one another and follow the process.
Okay, we're back to consensus.
Yeah, do we have consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, carry on. All right. City Attorney, any comments?
None tonight, Mayor.
Mr. Peters, any comments?
No, ma'am.
What? City Commission, who wants to start today?
Me?
You want to start? Go, girl.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Very shortly, I would like to invite the community out to Community Services Day. There shall be advertising forthcoming on August 6th at our beautiful center. By the way, there were some people from the county that visited that had never visited our center before and didn't know. So kudos. They were fantastic out there. August 6th, Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Please come out. We'll be providing more information. I want to, second of all, talk again about, and I'm not trying to steal thunder from Commissioner Souza, but the senior dance the other night, I'm going to tell you, it needs to be a thing because it was really well received. So kudos to all of you for showing up, the community, and for this being done. And the last thing that I have here is the in keeping in line with the ongoing renewed interest in female reproductive issues, I would like to invite the community out to the Good for Girls Initiative Oopsie Project, and that's going to be held at 150 North Pine Street in New Smyrna Beach this Friday at 6 p.m. And what the Oopsie Project does for people that are interested in women and girls, female reproductive issues is they will be stuffing bags that are distributed through our community to young ladies. They will have menstruation products in there, and they provide them to middle school, grade school, and high school girls, and it is a very good initiative, so please come out and support that if you can, and thank everybody for inquiring about that and being interested in women's reproductive issues, so thank you very much for your interest.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, who wants to go next? I'm giving autonomy today.
We'll go.
Commissioner Bradford, you want to go next?
I'll go
Commissioner
next.
Oh, you?
That's fine.
Right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to remind everyone, this Saturday, it's Deltona night at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Game starts at 7:05. You can get your tickets online by Friday, and it's only $7. If you haven't gone to a ballpark and enjoyed a game, it's going to be against the Palm Beach Cardinals. So again, it's Deltona night. I'm hoping people can show up. They had one not too long ago for Orange City and DeBerry, and they turned out. So I'm hoping that Deltona turns out again this Saturday at Jackie Robinson.
Are you throwing the first pitch out?
Yes, more than likely, at 7:05.
It wouldn't be me.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bradford?
Okay, no, sorry, I was looking something up real quick. Okay, so I got another call today regarding noise. Apparently, they called the sheriff's office, and this time they waited till midnight. And they said the sheriff's office did a decimal reader, but they did it like off of Normandy. And when they said, no, please come in my backyard, because it's at the back, the deputy refused. And she said, all I'm just asking is for peace to sleep, and it's apparently a neighbor who does it nonstop. So they were told, I guess, that we're only allowed to enforce the ordinance after 10 p.m. because they had called one time sooner, and they were told, sorry, you can't do nothing, call back after 10. And they actually called. She said it probably went out until 2 o'clock in the morning. She said, what can we do? And I says, well, it's my understanding we have a meter now. So I don't know if we have one meter and it's a shared meter, but I think we need to get the word out.
Commissioner, can I address that?
Yeah.
Several of us were at the ComStat meeting on Thursday, and after the ComStat meeting, we talked about with the deputies and the sheriff regarding what was going on in DeBerry. Were you there? You were there, Commissioner McCool. And they are now, they worked with DeBerry, and they are now looking at doing the noise things that has always been in this city. Code enforcement doesn't go out. The sheriff's department doesn't go out. It's always been this whole mess of who is responsible for the noise problems when they get called in. So I can tell you that it is being addressed by the sheriff, and for the three of us that were there, the discussion was, how does this work? Because code enforcement is not on after 7 p.m., and most of these things occur late. So they are working on a process according to what they did in DeBerry. And Vice Mayor or Commissioner McCool, if you have anything to add to that, that was the discussion after ComStat. So I feel that there's going to be a formal process coming up to deal with the noise complaints, including the meter, and actually looking at our ordinances and everything else. So.
Okay, yeah, because she's actually called several times, and she's like, she understood July 4th, she didn't complain, but she's saying July 4th's over, so,
it's bad.
It's tough. It's tough,
bad.
Especially when she's like, I'm senior, I don't have the money to move, and they've been asked so many times to stop, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's just heavy metal banging music. She's like, it's too much. And to be told, yeah, it's okay. No, it's not okay. This has got to be addressed. So now that we've approved it, next Saturday, July 30th, 9 to 11 at the center, bring an unwrapped gift, or you can even, if you want to do a check, it is actually to Operation Changing Lives. And I'm going to read you what they are. They're actually a dedicated medical professionals They provide safe, effective reconstructive surgeries to correct facial disfigurements due to birth defects, trauma, or disease to a lot of children and infants, kids in needs, kids handicapped. They dedicate their lives to working and treating with these kids. So that'll be from 9 to 11. We will have Santa. We will have, I believe, some Christmas festivities going on. We're going to try to make it as Christmassy as we possibly can for July. But, the whole point is, to see what we can do to support these kids and help these individuals out. So.
Okay, 9 to 11.
9 to 11 Saturday.
Perfect. The 30th.
The 30th.
Okay.
2 Saturdays. Not this Saturday, a week from Saturday, the 30th.
Okay. Commissioner Sosa?
And kudos, Mr. Commissioner Sosa, on a great dance.
Okay. Well, yes, the dance went very well. All the seniors turned out. It was great. Big shout out goes to Joe Hearns. He's the one that really made it happen. Joe Hearns Events did an awesome job setting it up. And, whether the city participates or not, I'm going to make it an annual event. So that's going to be something that I'll be doing annually. The senior citizens in this community had a great time. I mean, they move a lot better than I do, and I think a couple of them were a couple of years older than me. So it was really an awesome time, and I look forward to doing it again.
Okay, thank you, sir. Vice Mayor?
Am I invited? Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to make a comment since we started giving out credits to people out there. I just want to say that the first person to have the social service meetings here was Chief Schneider when Hurricane Maria took place. This place was mobbed and it was standing room in the back. And then former Commissioner Nabik took it over. But we got to give Chief Schneider a pat in the back for starting it back then. And I just want to give a shout out, a big, big shout out to the AHAC staff and the AHAC board members. I am so proud to be part of that board because this is, to me, I appreciate all the other boards, but this board is so active in what they do. And when the AHAC staff, Angela reached out to them, there were maybe one or two couldn't make it for personal reasons, but every one of them was here helping. This room was packed. Am I right? This room was packed. I got here 7:45, and the line was already around the awaiting area outside. I had to leave at 12. I had a commitment, and it was packed. People were still coming in, and I understand they left at 4:30. So I think that we need to give a real big shout out to Ron and his staff with Angela, the AHAC committee, and thank you so much for coming out to help us. It was really awesome to see so many people here. And the best part, I just want to say that even people were coming here from Orange City and they were not being turned away. They were taking down their information. And today, they were going to be, their information was being sent to the state of Florida that has funds to give out. So thank you so much, everyone. And we have to have a little party for the AHAC committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say, great job at ComStat on Thursday morning for the Sheriff's Department. All those ComStat reports are online at the Volusia Sheriff Office website if you want to look at them. It's very interesting to see the trends and what the Sheriff's Department actually does in terms of where the crimes are, what types of crimes, how they're solved, and really what goes on in our city of 35,000 plus houses and 93,000, 94,000 people. It's very, very interesting to get your pulse on the city and how many people that have nefarious activities come in from outside of Deltona and seem to like to fly over I-4 and come in and then, do their business here and cause ruckus and then leave. And that is one of our issues as a bedroom community that we have. And we just are grateful for the tag readers. I know they're controversial for some people, but the amazing amount of problematic cars they catch and how they're able to actually trace the vehicles, and it's just amazing. And if you look at things that happen in this city, for a big city, we're not as bad as people say we are. We really have a great law enforcement presence, a great public safety presence, and I encourage you to all to go on the sheriff's office and look at the CompStat reports. Commissioners, we approved a lot of good things today. The Portland Industries is really moving forward and is going to be a good footprint in the city of Deltona, and we're grateful that they're here and looking forward to seeing what more jobs they can bring for Deltonans and for the area. And thank you very much. We will be set up next for a workshop, and we're excited to have all of these fun events approved. Can't wait to go to them. Christmas in July. We are adjourned.